Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Blue Jays Center podcast presented by the Sick Podcast Network. A couple new faces today. The Jays grab another series win. Let's get into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Blue Jays Center.
Bautista drives it deep left field. Gone!
The sickest Toronto Blue Jays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
So the Jays continue their familiar streak, which is winning the series, not completing the sweep. But the Blue Jays Center podcast today is presented by a couple new people. Myself, obviously, as always, but then Luis here in the middle with the red Blue Jays hat, and then Mo on the other end, who, as you guys should know them from the Blue Jays Center Instagram page. Mo, you might not have, but he is the one that runs all of the posts. Luis is obviously on the show every once in a while. Guys, the Jays get it done again in terms of getting the series win, but this time they lose again in the game 3 to try to grab the sweep. Luis.
Oh yeah, I will take the positive, and the positive is that we have another win series, and we all know there's a lot of things for improvement for this team, for our team, but at least we got another series win, and I think that's a good start for the coming series and the coming games.
Mo?
Yeah, it's obviously nice to get some couple series wins under the belt. And Cole, from the start, I wasn't a fan of this Blue Jays team. I personally had a bold prediction that we're going to be at least 10 games under 500, and that did not come to fruition. And I'm glad, obviously, staying optimistic. Obviously, it would have been nice to complete a couple sweeps, especially against the Padres, who are a good team. But you honestly can't complain going into the KC series 2 games over 500. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you weren't alone in the 10 games below 500 at the end of April. I was also in that camp, or at least I was open to the idea of that being possible. And now that obviously not only looks like a incorrect prediction, that looks like a absurd prediction. The Jays have won 4 series in a row, and 3 of those 4 series, the Jays had the chance in the third game to grab the series sweep. The Mariners, the Yankees, the Padres, all 3 would have been huge in terms of getting it done. Obviously, 2 of those being in the American League, 1 of those being a division rival, and then, of course, the San Diego Padres just being a flat-out good team top to bottom. But the Jays couldn't get it done. But let's get into some important factors throughout this series. First, we'll start with Yaro Rodriguez, obviously coming off the back of a good start against the Rockies, but, it was the Rockies. We needed to see something more, and against this lineup, we saw just that. Mo.
Yeah, honestly, his second start of the big leagues, I thought he looked fantastic. His off-speed stuff is truly fantastic. I love his presence on the mound. Definitely a guy that gets up for the big moments. Kind of reminds me of Alek Manoah and kind of celebrates those punch-outs and those big moments in the game, which I like. Obviously, if you follow him on a national level, he's done this before at big levels, especially in the WBC. So he's familiar to this type of atmosphere in these games. I think he's going to be a good point of the pitching staff for the Blue Jays to come. I do think there is going to be a concern with his pitching, and obviously he hasn't pitched in a while, so they will limit his pitches. He might move to the bullpen soon, maybe carve out a bulk role. I know Alek Manoah has been doing good pretty much in his last couple starts to the minors, so he may come up, but I got a lot of positive things to say about Yariel, who looks like a nice piece for the Jays for years to come.
Luis.
Oh yeah, I think what he have shown us so far in the spring and with his first 2 major league starts, I think that's good. We all know that there's a lot of to come for him. So I think obviously it's a small sample, but right now I think we can see why the Jays take this guy and take, like, let's say in some case a bit of a risk with him, because he has good stuff, and we all know that there are some good Cuban players and out there, and maybe the Jays got one in him, and let's hope he can continue to improve.
Pete Walker just needs bits and pieces of a lemon to make lemonade, and as long as you got good stuff, he can figure it out, i.e. Yusei Kikuchi. So, Yaro Rodriguez has looked good. Another good start. Obviously, Mo brought up the pitch limit. He was, I think, limited to like 90 and under for this start, but it does seem like he is progressively being stretched out more and more. maybe to a point where he can be a solidified fifth starter this year, where a Bowden Francis isn't as necessary as he is currently, which obviously he needed to pitch that game as well. He looked like his usual self from last year. He's good with the lead and not good in high leverage. Jose Berríos, will stick with the pitching staff and the starters. Jose Berríos, another phenomenal start. Didn't even have his A stuff, and he got through it. Lowered his ERA to sub 0.8. Like, he is not only our ace, he is amongst the best pitchers in the entire league to start 2024, Luis.
Oh yeah, what I have seen from him this year, I feel like the biggest difference for him right now is the control he has on all of his pitches, because we cannot talk about just maybe the fastball or maybe the
Right.
curve. I think that right now what has been outstanding with him is that he's able to control all of his pitches right now, and that's great. And on the other part, uh, his level of confidence has come and has improved a lot also as a consequence of his big control on the mound. And I think that's a very, very positive sign for him and also for the Jays, obviously, because we all know that this team relies heavy on his starting pitching right now. And the way this team is constructed right now, if we don't have good starting pitching, this team is not going anywhere. So I think Berríos right now is a solid. Right now is our ace. That's the case
Yeah.
for me.
Facts. I want to specify the question for you, Mo. We're not at the threshold yet that you'd put on a pitcher in terms of understanding, how he's going to finish the year. But that's why I want to ask the question, because it is early. Because we're 5 starts in now, 4 starts in. Are you sold on Jose Berríos being an ace level starter this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sold on him. I don't know why he can't finish top 3 in a Cy Young voting. I think he has amazing stuff. He's definitely been here before. Definitely has pitched big games for the Jays before and the Twins. If you look at his track record, he's always been an above average pitcher. Not sure if I could call him an elite pitcher, but if you told me at the end of the 2022 season that he'd bounce back to this level, I'd call you crazy, because
Yeah.
times were looking really bleak back then, and now he's looking like he's, in my opinion, he's past Gosman as the Jays' best starter at the moment. That could obviously change, but I do think that Jose Berríos has a chip on his shoulder, especially after the wild card start last year. He wants to tell the world that, hey man, I'm Jose Berríos. I got this. I'm your ace. I'm the alpha, and I can carry a team to the postseason with my pitching. And the Jays definitely play well behind him, which is nice to see. They give him run support. So I'm excited for Jose Berríos. I think he'll definitely be in the conversation for Cy Young.
We'll move to the pen now. Jimmy Garcia continued his dominance. I don't think we need to get into that. Chad Green hits the IL, and then Eric Swanson is forced into, I believe since the last podcast, no. So since the last podcast, just one more leverage start, but he was forced to do another one and did not look good in that one either. Eric Swanson 0 for 2 so far in terms of his appearances in the big league so far in 2024, Mo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm harsh on guys, that, but like I can't really like blame the guy. He's obviously coming from an injury, obviously some personal issues revolving the son also probably plays a role into this. So it's early for him. He was amazing for us last year. He's had some solid series with the Mariners. I don't know why he can't turn around. For me, It's kind of like just an extended spring training for him. Hopefully he can turn around. His pitch selection looks good. His velocity looks good. So I'm not really concerned. If we do have this conversation mid-May, then yes, I will be concerned. But at the moment, I don't think there's a reason to panic.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jays fans that were definitely willing to walk off the plank with Eric Swanson right now. We should not be one of those people, Luis. I hope you're not one of those people.
No.
Perfect.
I'm totally agree with what I have heard from Mo. I think right now he's like in spring mode, in spring training mode. So
Yeah.
we gotta give him at least 3-4 weeks to get into rhythm.
Dalton Varsho will move to the offense, hits another homer in Game 1, I believe it was, for the Blue Jays to win to start get the first win. Sorry, in Game 1 against the Padres. He's continued his hot streak, leads the team in home runs, and even just outside of finding homers, he is still hitting the ball outside of that too for down the line for doubles. Let's talk about Dalton Varsho's offense, Luis.
Oh yeah, he has been a very good a surprise for our team in the past 2 weeks, I think, and we need him bad because he gives us the lefty bat that the Jays have been missing for the past 2 or 3 seasons. A good lefty approach, a good lefty bat, and he has been on a very good stretch. And I hope he can keep it that way because, as I said before, I feel like this guy has the potential to be a good. He's a good, a solid MLB player. Maybe not a star, but a solid MLB player from both parts on defense and offense. But I honestly feel like he arrived with our team with a lot of pressure
Oh yeah.
and a lot of high expectations from him, and like he has been kind of dealing with that. But I feel like maybe this could be the year that he can take that away from his shoulders and just play, have fun, and produce for our offense. Because right now, for me, this is the weak part of our game.
Let me pose this question, and this is gonna, I think, turn some people's heads. George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. top of the order, obviously. Both of them highly underperforming to start this year. Not even remotely competent, to say the least. Maybe you could argue Vlad's competent, but I would argue you on that one. Is there a world, or should there be a world, in the next week or two where not only does Springer get moved to the top four like he has been before with this team, especially last year, but is there a world where George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get moved to the top four, and guys like, I don't know, Bo Bichette and Dalton Varsho and Justin Turner, David Schneider, does that top four sound like a possibility in the next week or two? Or do you think that, Vlad's got a top four spot for as long as he so pleases, Mo?
I'd like to think there is, but honestly, knowing the Jays, John Schneider, I think that George Springer and Vladdy are going to stay in the top, somewhere in the top four. And I'm not a fan of George Springer leading off. I honestly think that he has not much left in the tank to contribute at a high level, which sucks because he's still under contract for a big while. I could see Dalton Varsho and potentially Vladdy getting switched spots. If Varsho's hitting like fifth, then and he goes to third. But I do want to say that Varsho, I've been very surprised with him at the plate. His batting stance has looked completely different. I know Guillermo Martinez visited him in his home in Milwaukee, I believe, somewhere around that area to help him this offseason. So I think he's a newly revamped player, and I think he's added a lot of power. Obviously, we know his defense is impeccable, and I think he's going to hit 25, 30 home runs for us this season. Look great. I think slowly John Schneider will realize that he has to move him up in the lineup. There's no reason why he should be below the top five.
Okay, so I guess the question is, I shouldn't ask, are the Jays going to do it? I should ask, would you like the Jays to do it? Would you like the top four to be Bo Bichette, Dalton Varsho, Justin Turner, David Schneider, or, Danny Jansen, let's say. The number four spot I'm not too concerned about because that's a rotating merry-go-round with this Blue Jays team anyways, but let's say top three. Would you like a top three, Bo Bichette, Dalton Varsho, Justin Turner? Mo, I'll go back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see. I like people experimenting. I think we need to try something new. Obviously, we're still. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've been winning series, but it's not been like we haven't been like smacking these opponents into the ground with our hitting. Yep. So I do want to see
about just like 4 to 5 runs a game.
Yeah. Today we only had like 6 hits, over 2 runners in scoring position, and we know George Springer is not working in the leadoff spot. We know Vladdy is going to swing at those pitches outside the zone, middle bill fastballs. He can ground them out. So I want to see something new, and I think switching those two together, maybe a different combination at the start, will definitely help rejuvenate the offense. Maybe.
Luis?
Oh yeah, I actually have been thinking about that for the past at least 7 to 10 days. I think that first of all, I don't like to see right now Vladdy and Bo hitting 2 and 3, or I don't like that. First of all, second, I'm pretty sure I would like to see Varsho. I think that right now the way Varsho is playing, you can put it on. For me, I would like to see it maybe hitting 2 or hitting 4th. I think that you can play with him and like try the right, lefty, right. Try to mix something there because I think our lineup right now with the first 4 or 5 hitters batting righty, I think that's not the best we can put over there. And I also think that Schneider has been like kind of slow trying to switch something in there. And I will also would like to say that for me right now, Springer cannot bat in the 1 to 5 spot. I think Springer has to be right now in the bottom of the order, and you gotta give chance to the other guys right now. And I think I would like to see uh, Bo, Vladdy, and Turner, maybe 1-3-5, and maybe
Mm.
putting that 2 and 4th. You can maybe put Schneider and maybe fourth Barshow, and try to mix those guys that have been playing, let's say, with good results for the past days, between these guys. Maybe if we can trying to get something going, because right now I honestly don't like how the way the offense has looked, and so also the lineup for me, it's I think it's not helping, and it's not helping this team anyway.
Yeah, this is where I said in the whole thing. If this team was completely different from the team that we had last year, I would understand letting the lineup construction ride for a little bit, but it's not. This is basically the same team it was last year, outside of Justin Turner, who has done nothing but prove he belongs in the top of your order, so that is null and void. The rest of your team has kind of been the mix and match of trying to figure out what's best for this offense. Coming into this year, obviously, John Schneider goes, okay, fine. We'll have Bo Bichette hit third, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit second, because Bo Bichette was our best hitter last year and has been our best hitter probably over the last 2 years. And so far, Bo Bichette's also been off to a slow start. So my thing is, maybe Bo's more comfortable in the leadoff spot where he participated in some last year, and maybe Vlad just needs to go up to the plate, not having the expectation of being the guy for a little bit to get him back into a groove. So I'm 100% in the camp of experimenting, because what do you have to lose? As long as the guys are in the lineup, they should be able to figure it out. You need to spark this offense somehow. And guys like Ernie Clement with good bat-to-ball skills can get to the ball on all quadrants of the plate, who's batting over 300 in the small sample size that he's been given this year. Maybe he's allowed the leadoff spot. He also has got a lot of speed at the top of the order, so that would fit your traditional leadoff, in 2024. And he also has some power. So for me, Ernie Clement, could be an option up top, because Bo Bichette also hasn't proved that he belongs at the top. So I'm 100% in the camp of experimenting, which leads us maybe to our perfectly to the next segment in the show, Banter Bag. Questions from the fans. One question on the docket today, which will sum up this entire conversation. The question is, when do the AAA guys get a call up? Addison Barger, Orelvis Martinez, and Spencer Horwitz all walking right around 1,000 OPS. Two of them are definitely above 1,000 OPS. I thought Horwitz still was, but the graphic today on the broadcast showed that he was just below 1,000 OPS, which I was surprised by, because the last 3 or 4 shows we've done on here, he's been above 1,000, so he must have had a couple rough games in between the last show and today. But again, he was good today, so maybe it climbed back up to over 1,000. Point is, they're freaking raking. Orelvis Martinez has 6 home runs in his last 7 days. Addison Barger hit a 2-run shot 2 days ago to give them the lead in the top of the ninth. Hits another 2-run shot today. He's been on fire. And Spencer Horwitz is getting on base at a Juan Soto level in AAA, even beyond Juan Soto level in AAA. Point is that we're getting to a point that these guys are doing it in bad elements, which means it's not necessarily a fluke, but also with so many guys in your big league lineup underperforming, these guys deserve a call. Obviously, the construction of the roster doesn't allow us to just easily do it. It involves cutting a Daniel Vogelbach. It involves, Ernie Clement losing at-bats, Davis Schneider losing at-bats. It involves, Kevin Kiermaier sitting on the bench with his price tag sitting on the bench. It involves George Springer, losing at-bats. It involves all these things to get these guys in. But obviously, we're looking at, the end of a 2-year window. Vlad and Bo are up next year. You have 2 years to figure this out, and not only figure them out and get this window or maximize the potential in this window, but you also have to figure out what you have. Figure what you have in AAA. Like, what are these guys good enough to even compete in the big leagues? That's what you need to figure out. When do these guys get the call up? Is the question from the fan. In my opinion, you're not going to see it until, I think, mid-May or later. Where do you guys sit, Mo?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get the call up anytime soon. And just because of guys like Ernie Clement and David Schneider just being able to prove that they belong on the big league level, especially today as well. They hit home runs each. I think by July, maybe June, July, you'll see maybe one of them get called up, but I do see some of them as trade chips potentially. at the trade deadline, especially because we do have a surplus of infield depth already.
Yeah.
In the
And is
major
that the
league
best
level.
course of action? I think that's a good question too. Is it the best course of action to keep them in AAA, keep them ranking in AAA, raise the stock level, and then deal them off to try to maximize your window with someone that is a proven big leaguer? Is maybe that the best course of action?
Yeah,
Oh,
I could.
yeah.
I'm for that. Honestly, I think Martinez is a guy that's going to get a lot of interest around the league, and you can get probably a solid big league proven talent for him. Maybe a guy like Ryan McMahon on the Rockies.
Maybe, yeah.
Um,
Top 100
but
prospects.
yeah, Addison Barger is a guy that he's weird because he kind of came up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's been proven that this year. We saw him last week in Buffalo. He's obviously added some size to him. He looks like a completely different hitter at the plate, which is nice. But with guys like him and Horwitz, we don't know what you're going to get in the big league level. Obviously, we got a taste of Horwitz last year, and he was all right. But I feel like stashing him in AAA, getting their value up, might not be the worst course of action. Maybe we can get garner some trade action around the league for them.
Luis, I know you were already hot and horny about this subject, so feel free to let us know your thoughts.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's tough to find a spot for them. I agree with what you said. I think that Vogelback, I don't know what he's doing with this team. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think that's the sign for our team that I never understand. And I will also like to know how long are they gonna wait for him to have a player like him on the bench. I
Yeah,
honestly,
I think
I
I think it'll be quick for him because I think what the thing was, the reasoning behind the signing, in my opinion, was if Justin Turner has Father Time catch him. If Father Time had caught Justin Turner, then there's the lefty version of our DH is Daniel Vogelback. Like that I thought was the process behind it. But obviously Justin Turner has continued to rake, so now it has pretty much rendered Daniel Vogelback useless, whereas the other guys in AAA wouldn't be that. They at least have positional versatility, Luis.
yeah, and we also have Joey Votto over there that
Yeah,
I
he's not.
think.
Yeah,
I know that I think that the Jays want to take a look from him for some time in, and I think that the player that is going to be out if Joey Votto is ready in some time, I think it's Vogelback for sure,
100%.
the
Yep.
one who's gonna leave his spot for Joey Votto, and but I just think that. I honestly don't know if I think Barger. I think the three guys that you mentioned, Barger,
Yep.
Horwitz,
Yep.
or Elvis,
Martinez. Yeah.
and I don't know if Nathan Lux. I know Nathan Lux is an outfielder, but I don't know if the first three, any one of those three, can play the outfield because right now I think where the Jays need more help right now is on the outfield.
Yeah, they can.
Fortunately,
Most of them. So Horwitz isn't really known to be an outfielder, but Barger has been playing outfield this year, and Martinez has experience in the outfield as well.
so I think that's gonna be maybe the reason why they can take a shot to try for them because
Mm-hmm.
maybe for the we can take obviously out of this conversation Barsha because he has been playing great lately for the past 7-10 days. But before that, any of our three outfielders were giving us nothing. Barsha, Kiermaier,
Right.
and Springer honestly were very very bad, and I think
Yeah.
if this trend continues with Kiermaier and Springer, and obviously considering that maybe there could be also an injury to some of these guys, that will be the only chance for them to play, because on the other part of the lineup, I think the infield right now is pretty set up, and obviously the catcher position and the DH obviously there's no space over there. So I think that's the only way they can be called anytime soon.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mo? On that?
Yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned that Barger can play the outfield. It might be a position need. I think injuries might force their hand as well. We are pretty thin in the outfield depth level, and instead of seeing a guy like Nathan Lukes and Cam Eden, who we saw last year, I'd rather see a guy like Barger and see what we have in him.
100%. Okay. Now we can get into previewing the Royals series. We got 4 against the Royals in KC, and I'll say this as an overall beginning to this preview. It's going to be a low-scoring affair, I think. Our pitchers have obviously been fantastic. Our offense has obviously been underwhelming. But the Royals are off to a good start, and especially from the pitching department. So this is the pitching matchups. I'll set it up for you guys. and then we can get into it. Going game one is Yusei Kikuchi for obviously the Jays, going up against Brady Singer, who obviously was a highly touted prospect, has had some issues in the big leagues, but has been phenomenal to start this year in KC. Then we got Kevin Gausman in game two going up against Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha, obviously a former San Diego Padre, actually, funny enough. He's also been good to start the year. Then we got Yarel Rodriguez going in game three against Alec Marsh, who is another young prospect for the Kansas City Royals. He's also off to a good start for them. And then we got José Berríos in the final game going up against their best pitcher in Cole Reagans, who has been lights out, coming off of a rough start, but he has been lights out. His stuff is amongst the best in this league. If you ever have a chance, if you're ever into this baseball savant stuff, take a look at his baseball savant, look at his fastball, and then compare it to Spencer Strider's, who, as we all know, is one of the best pitchers in the league. They have a very equal fastball when it comes to just its run value, and it's just lights out. So we have it in tough offensively. They obviously also have it in tough offensively against us. Two of the best pitching staffs, I think, in baseball so far to start 2024, going at it for 4 in Kansas City. Luis.
Oh yeah, I'm honestly a little bit scared right now of going into KC against the Royals. For me they are playing well. I have seen I have seen them play in some part of their games against the Orioles and against I don't remember any other team, and they are not playing bad. And I think they have a scary middle of the order lineup right now. And I hope that our pitching can hold up for us. And why not? Let's try to see if maybe going there our offense guy can find something, because honestly, for me right now, previewing this series, I feel like a tight series for the Jays will be a good result. Right now, going into KC, and I don't know. I don't know. Let's see how the Jays handle these 4 games. It's gonna be a good one to watch.
Yeah, and notably, their offense is obviously led by one of the top, or used to be one of the top prospects in baseball, Bobby Witt Jr. Obviously had a great year last year. He's off to a good start this year as well. And not only do we go to KC for 4 right now, but then we welcome the Dodgers into Rogers Center this weekend, and then KC comes back to the Rogers Center next week for 3 more. So we got 7 of the next 10 games against KC, and they're, like I said, off to a good start. And we'll probably get all of their pitchers by the end of it. Mo.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident in this series against KC. I know the Jays have notoriously played well at Kauffman Stadium. It's a beautiful ballpark.
Yes, we kind of have. The offense, so put it in perspective, I looked up 4 guys, 4 of our bigger offensive guys that we need to, that people will want to know whether they've been good in KC or not. Vladdy has an 1100 OPS. Varsho has 1,000 OPS. Justin Turner has a 550 OPS. George Springer, 740 OPS. And Bo Bichette, 800 OPS. And then our pitching staff has also been kind of up and down in KC. Yusei Kikuchi has an 840 plus OPS against KC in his career, and then in Kansas City in his career. Kevin Gausman, 680 against KC, but he's worse when it happens in Kansas City. Rodriguez obviously is new to the league. And then José Berríos, a 766 OPS against KC, and also a 800 plus in KC. So it seems like, for totality, the team's usually good against KC, but the pitchers are worse when they're actually in Kauffman Stadium. But from an offensive standpoint, a couple guys that have been, at the bottom or on this topic on the show for the topic of underperforming. Those guys have actually been good when it comes to Kauffman Stadium. Mo.
Yeah, like now that you say the numbers, I'm still confident.
Yeah. No. I think it's fine to be confident, but like Luis said, I kind of lean series split.
Yeah, I think a series split is what you can kind of manage at the worst case scenarios. I know Rob and James are at the game this week, so that'll be cool for them to see whether they can get a series win for them.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that the Jays are due for like some offensive firepower in this series. I know Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be exciting to watch him play. They have a couple young guys, but their lineup's not that scary. They're still a rebuilding team. Their pitching is actually pretty nice. I was looking at their rotation, their bullpen. But hopefully we can just play some sound baseball. Hopefully we can see some lineup tweaks this series, and hopefully the Jays can come out with 3 games. We can keep the win streak alive for winning series, and I think this what this would be our 4th straight series win?
Fifth straight.
Fifth straight series win. So that'd be huge going into the Dodger series, which should be a woozy.
Yeah, that like this. I think this 4-game stretch for me to start 2024 is bigger than any series we've had so far. Because it's off the heels of 3 straight games against the Padres, without any off days, going into a 4-game set. You have to manage that. You have to manage playing a good team in KC at their home ballpark and the good pitching stuff that they provide, which we haven't really seen a whole lot of fantastic pitching to start this year, and that's why I think that this is huge. And then you have to remember that, you have to come home and welcome the fucking Dodgers to town while also bringing KC back the very next day for 3 more. So it's like this is 4 games in the middle of a 13-game stretch, but also it's 4 games at the home ballpark of a team that's actually been pretty good to start the year with a good pitching staff. I think all of these things probably add up to the biggest series of the year so far to start 2024 for the Jays, Luis.
Oh yeah. It's honestly, it's a 10-game stretch, the one coming for the Jays. It's gonna be nice to see how this team, coming of this streak of 4 series win, it's gonna be nice to see how the Jays handle these 7 games against the Royals, and obviously the Dodgers that we all know. It's right now they are on paper to be on a World Series team. No? So let's see how the Jays handle, and let's hope we can start to find a way to get our offense going.
I'll give the Royals a lot of credit, but I do not think I will give them the possible World Series contender tag yet.
I was saying the Dodgers. The Dodgers.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No. Not the Royals.
Good.
The Royals.
That makes sense. Mo, any final thoughts on the Royals?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good series. I just hope they don't have their best series against us this year so far. I know that happens a lot, but we know that sometimes the Jays can downplay to their opponents. We saw that against the Rockies, so hopefully they can bring their best foot forward. No punt lineups, please. I don't want to see any punt lineups, especially tomorrow, first game of the series. I know there's a day game, so we might see one then, but hopefully we can experiment. Hopefully Dave Schneider's in the lineup tomorrow. I know a couple lefties are going to be there at least. So hopefully we can get those guys in, Ernie, Davis. Maybe we might see Vogelbach, who's pretty useless on this roster right now, like Luis said. Who knows? I don't know why he's on the team right now, but hopefully we get a series win.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'll get more into detail with some of these guys to finish off. So Cole Reagan's the guy that I talked up about. He has been worse at home in his career so far through 2 years in the bigs. He had a rocky start against us the last time he faced us last year, but we did very little damage. So he struck out 6 of us. He walked 6 of us, but we only scored 2 runs off of, I think 3 hits. So he had a rocky start, but by all means, we didn't capitalize on it. Classic Blue Jays. And then same with Alec Marsh. He only had 1 start against us last year, and he was good against us in that 1 start. So a big test for our offense, but hopefully guys like Vlad and Bo and Varsho, who all trend upwards in Kauffman Stadium, continue to do just that and can turn their seasons around. Varsho can continue his season, and we'll see. Like we've mentioned in the show, maybe there's some lineup tweaks incoming. If you want to take a look at our last show in previewing the Royals series, James actually ran down some stats that makes you kind of think that maybe the Royals so far to start this year have been frauds. And he ran through it, so you can watch our last show on YouTube to check that out. But for today, thank you to Mo for joining the show. Thank you to Luis for joining the show. This was the Blue Jay Center podcast presented by the Sick Podcast Network, and we will see you at the end of the Royals series.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Blue Jay Center on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.